I know my vision is to move people from frustrated to fulfilled.
Yeah. Just
That's
like
my
you
vision.
yourself too. So
Exactly.
You're speaking directly from personal experience.
They asked, why did you write a book on of going from frustrated to fulfilled? It's because I always say that I was frustrated.
Yeah.
And to get myself out of frustration, I wrote myself out of frustration.
Yeah.
People don't understand is I failed my ACT exam in high school. You know, a lot of people say, well, you can't fail one of those. Well, yeah, you can. Trust me. Last time I checked, a 19 over 36 is failing.
Yeah.
Do the math.
Yeah.
Oh, just retake it. It's going to be good. Okay, 20 out of 36. That's failing.
Yeah.
Reading and writing was awful.
Yeah.
So like between that crash on stage and then the failure of reading and writing in high school, I don't know. That was my frustration. I just want to like inspire people that they can dig themselves out of those trenches each and every single day. Behavior number 1 is do it afraid. So it's about the middle, okay? So your core values, this is who I am. Your vision is where you're going. A lot of people say the start is the hardest part.
Yeah.
The start's not the hardest part. Ask a surgeon if the incision was the hardest part.
Yeah.
You know, the middle's the hardest part. The grind, the getting up and saying, I'm gonna do it afraid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get up in the morning. I'm gonna write 500 words. So it's knowing it's a system on execution to get something done, to live your vision really.
Welcome to another episode of the Forever Podcast. It's your host, Jamar Jones. I am the founder of Forever Media, also the author of the book, Change Your Circle, Change Your Life. And we got another killer episode today as I'm bringing on a special guest. I always love to give a background story to how we met. So I think we've been around each other's circles for a hot minute, probably years.
Yep.
I would say.
Think about 5 years for sure.
5 years? Yeah, just knowing, similar people, kind of seeing each other's content back and forth. And then one day you just kind of reached out and said, yo, what's good? Mm-hmm. And the rest is history. And you are absolutely an amazing person when it comes to leadership, coaching, training, obviously a father, a husband, love the sport of basketball, and also an author. And we got Deprey in the building, man. I mean, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming.
And then it's crazy because, it's the power of content where we reconnected.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously you're posting some stuff. I saw you doing some incredible things, and I was looking for some help in the speaking world.
Yeah.
And then that's where the power of LinkedIn kind of just happened. And, and then here we are.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. What's going on in your world right now?
Oh, man. Lots of stuff. Girls basketball, girls basketball, girls basketball. So I spend a lot of time coaching girls basketball.
Yeah.
So I go home to rest because most of the time I'm just on the court. I'm also working on my second book, which has been a lot of fun.
Yep.
I think it's a lot more fun than writing the first book.
Yeah.
Because I can focus a lot more on maybe who's going to be reading it versus being in my own head all the time.
What can you give us the title?
Yeah. So the title, after like looking at a million of them, is going to be Everyday Leaders, Small Actions, Big Results.
Got you.
So it's less about your Gandhis, Mother Teresa's, LeBrons, Jordans, and more about everyday leaders.
Yeah.
The people you don't even see right now that are helping us on this podcast.
Yeah.
That are making a dent in the world, a big impact. That's who this book is for. You matter. You're making your impact leading as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And why? Why did you want to write something like that?
Yeah. I think so many people aspire to be these CEOs, these presidents, these founders, owners, have millions of social media followers. And I think that's awesome. That's okay. But I think in reality, if you can just impact one person positively every single day, no matter what your position or rank is, you've worth.
Yeah.
Your value is not based on all those other things. Every person has tremendous value just based on their own personal values and what deeply matters to them. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why I'm writing this book. It's less about, like I said, position, rank, more about the person out
So
there.
you're just saying just take a step,
Mhm.
like one step every single day, and just in a positive direction, and you'll get those big results that you're looking for.
Absolutely. It's like, reading 2 chapters a day instead of trying to read a whole book.
Yeah, I can't do it.
If you've never, yeah. If you've never,
definitely can't.
like a lot of people, they've never worked out before, but they say, I want to run a marathon in 3 months.
Yeah.
Well, how about starting with a 5K?
Yeah,
So it's combining those people that are just your everyday leaders combined with just general consistent actions each and every single day together into the concept.
yeah. I saw my friend just did an Ironman triathlon,
Awesome.
and I'm like, yeah, that's not for me.
That's intense. Yeah, that's a lot of work.
That's not for me.
That could be 2 to 3 hours a day, depending on what the training schedule
He's been
looks like. At
documenting
least
his journey on Instagram. But I'm like, yeah, that's a little too much for me.
But for some people, that is everyday leadership because you can break that down into the smallest sense to hit that goal as well.
Yeah.
Right. So it's also taking those big goals and just chunking it down and getting it as well.
Yeah.
So.
It's impressive. It's definitely impressive. I mean, I saw him. He finished 33rd or something like that.
Wow.
I was like, wow. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So what, and so talk to me about the coaching girls basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of age range and, like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So first of all, I never watched much girls basketball in my life. I played basketball all the time, and I was one of those people guilty that, I'm not going to watch girls basketball ever. And then I have 2 daughters. None of them really into basketball at all until my oldest daughter was going into 5th grade, and one of her friends invited her to try to play. And shockingly, she put the Barbies and the dolls aside and tried to play basketball.
Okay.
And I was still that dad in the first season that said, I'm never going to coach. I'm never going to do this again. Even though my background, I spent a lot of time, scouting and helping coach at the Division I, and even for the Milwaukee Bucks back in the day. No, I'm not going to coach. I'm not going to coach. And here I go, 1 year into the journey. I'm actually helping both of my daughters right now. As far as what it's like, girls are better listeners than boys. That's what it's like. I love coaching girls basketball.
Really? Okay.
I love the fact that I see so many of them so happy for each other's success, which I think is a big lesson for us adults out there.
For sure.
It's when a different girl scores, the entire bench is standing up and cheering for each other. High fives on the court, all that. It's not about the jealousy or any of that kind of stuff. It's really cool. But it's a lot of work. I treat it like a Division I basketball team.
Yeah.
I treat it like running a high-level corporate executive meeting where I will literally go in and have every single practice planned and nailed by the minute. And we start right on time. We end on time. After every 10 or 15 minutes, we move on to the next thing and we go 1 minute water breaks. Like it's very disciplined because I want them to walk away from, everybody can be a champion at the end of the day. I just want to, I want to give them the right habits. And if I give them the right habits to succeed on the court, I'm hoping that they can take those and succeed off the court.
Yeah, off the court
as well.
Yeah. It's very interesting because I assistant coach 8th grade AAU boys. So the one thing that was very interesting was so we had this one guy on the team, and he loved he wasn't a ball hog, but he kind of had his own agenda. Like you get him the ball and like he would just attack every single time, attack. And there were some times where it was good because it was working, and other times it was like he would run into a brick wall sometime, and then he would just keep trying it. And it was hard for like some of the other team members to like gel. So, and also to listen. So you saying like, hey, the girls are better listeners, I feel like that would have been very helpful.
Yeah. And AAU is tough because AAU, you're putting together these select teams, these people that every family feels this player is really good or they want to have a big goal in basketball.
Yeah.
AAU is hard because everybody can probably score.
Yeah.
But how can you really make those people work together?
Yes.
That
was always a challenge.
That's the hard part. Forming a dream team, you saw in the NBA, it's really hard. All these players can team up together, but how often does that really work? It doesn't work that often.
Just because you get the best of the best doesn't mean you're going to get the best as a result. Yeah.
And I worked for George Karl, who is now an NBA Hall of Fame coach. And I remember, and I was sitting in this video room breaking down film, and I could hear it's at the Cousin Center, the old practice facility. And I always remember him talking about sharing the ball and moving the ball and repeating that same thing over and over and over again. Because in the early 2000s, they had a really good team. They had a lot of players that could score. But if they didn't move the ball and share the ball, They weren't that good.
Right.
And I'm like, if he can get the Milwaukee Bucks to do that, I can help him get these 8th grade girls to do that as well. So,
Right. Yeah. What has been the biggest challenge with doing something like that?
I think parent coaching
Yeah.
can be hard, and not parent coaching from the stance that a lot of people question parent coaching. Parent coaching is, I can be too hard on my own kids.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the hard part. It's knowing when to turn off the game of basketball. Like, do you talk about it on the way to the gym or not? Do you talk about it on the way home or not? If you talk about it, what are you talking about? Are you questioning everything they did in practice that day? Or are you asking them, what did you learn today? What was your favorite part of practice today? What teammate impacted you the most? Those are good parent questions.
Yeah.
But it's not good when we just go on our own agenda and it's all about me and telling my daughter what she didn't do well. So I think that's a big challenge that I've learned I'm growing through right now.
Because I'm sure it comes up at like the dinner table.
Absolutely.
Or like
for sure.
Just playing outside. Maybe they're just doing like a friendly game and you're like, come on, you always do that. Yeah. Like, come on.
Totally. And the other part is like, it's got to be their goal, not my goal.
Yeah.
Corporate lesson as well. Like with your employees, like the CEO can have this goal for somebody, but does that person actually want that to be their goal? It's no different with the kids and even my kids. It's like, it's okay if a girl doesn't want to play in college.
Yeah.
And you can still play AAU basketball because of what? You're going to learn team lessons, camaraderie, togetherness. You love the game, but you might not have that goal of being a Division I basketball player. That's fine.
Right.
And then that other girl that wants to be a Division I basketball player, you might lead and manage her a little bit differently because her goal is different. So that's another challenge as well. So you have to get to know each player. You just can't show up at practice and just coach and have it be your agenda the entire time.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So a lot of that translates to also the training, the speaking, the coaching, all the things that you're doing in that realm. So what is top of mind that's happening right now in that space?
Yeah. So it's constant change and transition.
Yeah.
I mean, going through the whole COVID experience about 3 years ago, everything was shut down.
Yeah.
And I had a decision to make. Like everybody's, you got to pivot virtual. The virtual thing not for me. I didn't pivot virtual. I did a couple of virtual gigs and it was boring to me. Yeah. Like I just couldn't do it.
Just talking to your computer.
Yeah. And then, everybody's on their phones and whatever. So I'm like, okay. So I stopped a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I decided to double down on my content.
Yeah.
So I made all of my content 20 times better, handouts, tools, resources, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So made the keynote better, made the slide decks better, all that kind of stuff. So I spent really 18 months going all in on making my content better. Is what I did. And now I'm pretty much through creating a program called Fit to Lead.
Yep.
Where it's about 18 different workshops that build out into 3 different areas: leading yourself, leading people, and leading teams. I start with leading yourself because I don't believe you can lead others if you can't even lead yourself.
That's very true.
We all overlook our biggest leadership challenge, which is ourselves.
Yeah.
We always want to tell each other, well, what if we lead ourselves? Do you know your own personal core values? Are you committed to personal growth?
Yeah.
Are you executing and doing the things that you love to do each and every single day to get you to where you want to ultimately be?
Yeah.
So I'm also pivoting in the world of coaching a little more because I've always been this guy that's like, I just love speaking. I love workshops. But now I'm doing some one-on-one executive coaching.
Yeah. Is that what has been kind of like some crazy story on your speaking, as you're going from place to place? Any kind of crazy stories you can give us?
Well, I can tell you the craziest story is the first day I ever had to speak since school.
Oh yeah.
And it was at a banquet at Marquette University.
Good story.
And I was the director of basketball ops for Marquette University. Coach Tom Crean wanted me to give out an award.
Yep.
In front of all these, millionaires, donors, boosters of the program and all this. And this was sometime, I think it was 2006 maybe. And it was 13 hours before the banquet. He walks in on his flip phone, tells me to give out this award. I said, yeah, no problem. But I was freaking out the whole day. I've never talked in front of people. I hid behind every camera. I hid behind every audience. I let everybody else lead. I just led from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I tried to memorize everything word for word on what I was going to say. I looked at the previous banquets on VHS tape, if you remember those. Right after the Jurassic period, those are from, right before the TikTok period.
Yeah.
And I even wrote everything down word for word, had it in my suit coat pocket, 7:52 p.m. sharp, my name gets called up to the front. and I froze. I didn't remember a word I was going to say. Joe was standing next to me. I was supposed to give the award to Joe Chapman. And I just looked down and just shake my head. And the lights are bright. And I just said, and the award goes to Joe Chapman. I kept my head down. I walked to my table. I wanted to crawl in a hole and never see my peers ever again. That was my deepest crash. And I'm telling you right now, knowing now that I'm a paid speaker and this is my profession, I never would have guessed it in a million years. So the lesson is the area of your deepest wound can become the area of your greatest contribution.
Yeah.
But you got to get back up again.
But you have to get it. If you would have never touched a mic ever again.
Never.
So I actually be doing what you're doing every single day.
Exactly. Because the choices you make you. Life is what you do in the painful moments.
Yeah.
And I left Marquette because every time I walked into the basketball office, I thought they were thinking about that exact moment every single time. So I went to the University of Utah, got a little more comfortable, tried to lead some basketball camps in front of people. And this haunted me since the mid-'80s. Like I couldn't sing the scale in front of my teacher, do, re, mi. I cried fa, sol, la, ti, do. I mean, it was a mess. You know, as captain of the high school basketball team, I remember, you know, they're all looking for you to say something.
Yeah.
And I sat in the huddle and said nothing. Like other people had to say stuff. You know,
So that affected like everything.
Everything. I sat in the back row of every single class. I never raised my hand. This is through college and everything. But something in me volunteered for a corporate orientation at the Wisconsin Athletic Club in about 2008, 2009.
Okay.
You know, the owners, one of the facilitators of this corporate orientation was leaving the company. And the owners brought the general managers together and they're like, hey, who wants to run this? He's leaving. And it was crickets for like 30 to 45 seconds. It felt like 20 hours.
Yeah.
And something in me just raised my hand to commit to this thing. And that was where I set an unintentional deadline to become a speaker because I had to get up every 90 days and speak in front of these new hires all the time.
Yeah.
90 days plus 90 days plus 90 days. And I had to get better, better, better. And then all of a sudden somebody in the audience was a principal for the Grafton School District, one of the middle schools, and asked me to keynote one of their events back in the day to kick off the Grafton School District. And that was my first paid speaking gig.
Wow.
It was $1,000. And the superintendent came up to me and said, at a break, he's like, $1,000? This is a $5,000 talk.
Yeah.
Keep up the great work. I'm excited for the second half. And that's where I knew that this is where I was headed in my career.
Jeez.
So,
it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Wow. I mean, just to take something from that basically destroyed you and turn it into something that you're doing full time now and training, inspiring, coaching, leading others is crazy. It's just a crazy. So how many people were there at the Marquette?
I'd say 250.
Yeah,
and
that's
I want that
that's a pretty good crowd.
I want that video so bad. I want the video so bad, and I've tried, and I've emailed, and I've called people, and they just can't find it. It's not anywhere.
We're gonna have to go raid the archives
I know.
or something.
I would probably pay $10,000 for that video because nobody believes it. I'm like, it's true. Trust me.
Yeah. Well, it's such a pivotal moment. I mean, you'd want that. You know?
I want it so bad. You wouldn't recognize me anymore. I've weathered a little bit since then.
I think you would be horrified though watching it.
I would,
because you're gonna be like, I want it, but also I don't want
exactly.
I just want to use it for like stuff.
I have a picture of the moment though. Like somebody captured the picture of each person going up to the podium, and my hand is like this on the podium. It's like I have this death grip on this podium, and I know I was probably like this the whole time. So you'd need a crowbar to get my hand off of that thing.
Jeez, that's absolutely incredible. So talk to me about being a speaker. Like now that you've been doing it for 10 years now, go and counting. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face, and then also what has been some of the most impactful moments that you can share with us?
I think the biggest challenge is to treat every single gig like it's your first gig. You know, you don't arrive at like you never become a great speaker. Like you can always strive to be better and better and better. So I had a humbling experience at Lambeau Field. I'm like, and you talked about a memorable moment speaking on the journey, and I was so jacked. Like I'm speaking at Lambeau Field.
Yeah,
like
dude,
it was so fun.
Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. If you don't know, yeah, right.
I'm talking about Green Bay Packers right now.
And I'm doing this event. I think it was for the Project Management Institute. And there was Packer players there hanging out and doing their thing. And after the gig, you know, you typically have like a line of some people that want to talk to you and say thank you or whatever and have a question about your content.
Yep.
So I talked to him, and there was this one guy that says, hey, I love talking to you, but you got to get out there. I'm like, okay, why? I said, there's a line out there for you. There's a line of people that want to buy a book and get autographs and all this kind of stuff. So I quick pack up my computer, my backpack and everything.
And you're Lambo. Like,
I'm at Lambo. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I get out there, and the line of people was to get autographs from the Green Bay Packers. There was one person waiting for me at my line, you know? And I'm like, the takeaway is, no matter how good you are right now,
Yeah.
you're not where you could be.
Yeah.
There's no limit on better.
You could strive
And
for
that
more, yeah.
exactly. And it's not like it was a bad gig that day,
Yeah,
but it just,
yeah.
that's the takeaway I had.
Yeah.
It's like, I can be better. I'm going to be better next time.
Did you like
So-
run up to the table and just feel like all your stuff and be like,
I did. I felt like the biggest cheese ball. You know, I felt like my book was like, you take the F off of there.
yeah.
That's what I was feeling like in that moment.
God,
So,
only imagine.
yeah.
Did they have any kind of security around there, around the table, being like, "Hey, Derek, I
Yeah.
spoke, but you can't be rushing up the table."
Let's be honest, Jamar. There's no security around my table. Yeah. The other guys had some
Did you go see
security.
that one person though?
I did.
Did
And,
you?
and that same person was the guy that gave me that standing ovation at the end. You know, it was priceless. So that was memorable. And the serious moment here is like when I got out of basketball, all right, the piece of me that was missing was the competition, but also the preparation. I'm getting the competition by coaching girls basketball every single day.
Yeah.
The preparation I'm getting because I treat every single gig like I'm preparing for the NCAA tournament and the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
Every single one. Every single time I do shift, I'll tweak it. I know I did something a little off that I want to make better. And on top of that, it's like you're scouting for your opponent, but you're actually partnering with the business.
Gotcha.
I want to know everything I possibly can about that other company. Pre-surveying the event planner with 30 to 40 different questions.
Yep.
Sending the audience pre-questions, 2 to 3 different things. And you take that all, combine it all together, and then you just kind of perform.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not an hour. It's really, 40 hours that go
Yeah,
into that 1 hour.
exactly.
So that's really fun for me. I love that part.
The funniest thing about
Yeah.
speakers is that they think that you just walk up
Yep.
on the stage and then that's it.
So you
And
get
then
paid this
just
for an
get off
hour?
Like, wow,
Yeah.
man, you're getting all this money for an hour.
Right.
This is easy.
Correct.
It's like, no, it's not.
And to be
There's
good,
a lot of
yeah.
prep. There's a lot of even just mental. I know that's not when people say, "Oh, like you got to think about it." It's like, no, when you have a gig, you got to like mentally prepare yourself
Mhm.
to go up there. And it's like every company's different, every organization, every event is different. So you have to craft something in your brain to say like, what's going to hit? What's going to hit with these people? You can't the same content with that you would do, let's say, with a bunch of marketing people doesn't correlate with a bunch of manufacturing or
Right.
construction people. That would be in the
Exactly.
cloud. So you can't come with the same jokes, the same energy. You got to like plan that
Mhm.
and think about that. So
And the other thing with speaking too is like if they do an event the day before, the night before,
yeah,
if you can get there before, it can transform your event.
for sure.
Like you can get to know people. If I'm talking about personal growth, the power
Yeah.
of personal growth, and then you meet with this person and you're sitting by them at dinner and you find out that this person's an intern and they want to grow and you learn their story and then you just weave it in the next
and then you
day.
weave it in. Yep.
That's
Yeah.
powerful for people
Yeah.
as well. So it's extra time, but it's paying attention. So I'm like, I have that note card or I'm texting myself notes because I don't want to forget that
Yeah.
because I know that when I perform, I want to share that real life story.
And what's the biggest challenge then as a speaker right now?
Yeah. Oh man, the biggest challenge as a speaker right now, it's to constantly modify and adapt the time slots.
Yeah.
I think back in the day, people were more okay with doing a full day event,
Yeah.
doing a 2-day event.
Yeah.
Now it's, hey, I got a 2-hour slot only. I have 90 minutes only. I have 45 minutes. I want you for a full day. Oh, I want
Right.
you the day before and the day after.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's not being so rigid with your approach.
Yeah.
It's you knowing what you deliver, how to deliver it, and how, more importantly, you're going to impact everybody.
Yeah.
But you're going to have different ways to fit it in.
You're gonna have to mold it.
their
Yeah. to
agenda.
what's going on?
So I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah.
right
Because
now.
it's from you doing the hour
Mhm.
set to a half day. It's like drastically
Exactly.
because you got to keep people's attention. The learning is
Mhm.
different. The education part, the interaction piece is different.
Right.
Like all of that, you have to like rethink how that goes, and then for every single audience is different. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
The other hard part is getting gigs too.
Yeah, yeah,
And And to this day, and I felt this in 2014, I feel the best way to get a gig is to be the best on stage you can possibly
Yeah.
be. So my thing is I'm going to bring the most energy I can possibly bring and be the most prepared speaker you'll ever see.
Yeah.
And that's how people, hopefully somebody in there is a board for a different company, and then they refer you to the next gig.
Refer you to the next one,
exactly.
and just being impactful. And what about so is there anything that you do kind of after you're done and you get off the stage? And you said like a line kind of people kind of come up to you, but is there anything extra that you do afterwards after you're done giving the talk?
No, I think I always just say, I kind of joke at the end, thank you at the end, and I say, I will stick around until I outnumber each and every one of you. And they all laugh, but I truly believe that. Like, unless I'm catching this quick plane, I will just sit at a table and just talk to people, bond with people, sign books, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I would say that I do after event. The other thing is, 48, 72 hours later, I love to just schedule a follow-up phone call with the event planner.
See how it went.
And see how it went. They'll hopefully give me some honest feedback.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the post-event feel. And then the other thing is, like, some people like just different niches. Like, so I'm speaking, let's say it's an annual meeting.
Yeah.
And then maybe before or after the event, they want their managers or leaders to learn how to speak better, learn how to run a meeting better. So I can take some of those core just management, supervisor, executive topics and just kind of go in a private coaching room with a small group and just work with them on a topic. So that's fun to do before or after an event as well.
For sure. No, that's cool. That's cool. And where's everything going next for Derek? So I know you got the book coming out. Like what does the next 5-10 years look like for you?
I wish I could answer that. That's probably a big weakness of mine, is like, I know my vision is to move people from frustrated to fulfilled.
Yeah.
That's
Just like
my
you
vision.
yourself too. So
exactly.
You're speaking directly from personal experience.
They asked, why did you write a book on of going from frustrated to fulfilled? It's because I always say that I was frustrated.
Yeah.
And to get myself out of frustration, I wrote myself out of frustration.
Yeah.
People don't understand is I failed my ACT exam in high school. A lot of people say, well, you can't fail one of those. Well, yeah, you can. Trust me. Last time I checked, a 19 over 36 is failing.
Yeah.
Do the math.
Yeah.
Oh, just retake it. It's going to be good. Okay, 20 out of 36. That's failing.
Yeah.
Reading and writing was awful.
Yeah.
So like between that crash on stage and then the failure of reading and writing in high school, I don't know. That was my frustration. I just want to like inspire people that they can dig themselves out of those trenches each and every single day. So what's next? I don't know. I can tell you what's next. It's publishing book number 2. I'm super pumped about it.
Yep.
I'm excited to get on stages with it.
Yeah.
I think, people, you hear people say, oh yeah, everybody's a leader. Well, this is a book that's like, no, I'm going to prove to you and show you that you are a leader. And if you're not the leader that you want to be, you can be that leader each and every freaking single day, regardless of whether you're managing somebody or not.
Got to put the work on yourself though. I mean, that's where it starts first.
Right.
Is putting the work on you. Because how are you able to lead others if you can't even really be truthful with yourself?
Exactly.
On how you're going to be able to approach this. And if you put those things in practice, you can then teach others. It's pretty easy. And it's believable for the other person receiving it.
Right.
Because they're like, yeah, I see it. I see you doing this stuff.
Exactly.
Easier to follow.
And then, just a big part in general on what I've really tried to do for myself and I really try to help others do is this whole concept of work-life integration, which I call work-life fusion. And if I was to rename it today, I would almost call it work-life focus.
Okay.
So at a lot of the events, like we talk about personal values. I always say, raise your hand if you know your personal core values. Typically 4 out of 100 people raise their hand. And I said, raise your hand if you've ever heard personal core values are important. Everybody raises their hand.
Yeah.
But nobody takes the time to form them and make them real.
Yeah.
So we go through like a 15 or 20 minute activity, depending on what it is, to form their personal core values. And by the end, that's gear 1. By the end, we get to gear 5, which is that work-life fusion integration. And then we pull out their work values, their company's values, their organization's values, and we have them look at them. And if you can see some weavement and alignment there, you're winning. And I want people to leave at the end of this gig being like, that's why I work at that company. I work there because my values match their values. I work there because I can bring my authentic self to work each and every single day, and nobody's going to judge me because of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I leave it. You're not turning on and off yourself based on work or life. I'm just going to be myself every single day.
And that's more, and because people say balance, but you're saying you're changing it to fusion.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
balance, I remember I was in Disney once and they're like, balance. You must have had a really balanced life when you were in Disney for a week. I said, balance? No. Balance is an even distribution of weight.
Yeah.
Disney, eating bad, going on rides all time with my family. I didn't work out. I didn't
Right.
work. I didn't write my book. I didn't read any personal development materials. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's work-life fusion, which is family matters to me. That's why I'd prefer work-life focus now, because
Yeah.
I focused 100% on my family that day.
Yeah. At that time.
At that
you
time, and in that
focused on your
moment, I was
family. Yeah,
100%
that's what was
truly
the
there.
most important
Right.
to you. Yeah.
And then when I go to work, I'm going all in on work.
Yeah.
When I go to coach my girls back, I'm going all in on that.
Yeah.
And all those things weave and blend together, and that's who I am, and that's
Yeah.
like that work-life integration piece.
People try to have that, like, the balance is just, yeah. I that's a way better way of explaining like how you should kind of juggle,
Mhm.
all those things. Because also life moments will just happen to you, and your balance is just screwed.
Yep.
If you're trying to have this perfect balance, it's just like things will happen and be like, oh, okay, now I have to make this a priority instead of this.
Mhm.
And so, and it is tough though, I think, because the world's moving so fast, and I think that's why people are probably looking to people like you to say, how do I juggle all this? How do I do all of this stuff all at once? Because it is a lot,
Right.
Especially with with social media, where everybody looks like it's a highlight reel for every single person.
Mhm.
So if it looks like everybody's better off and just doing everything perfectly, and you look at your life and you're like,
Wait a
dang it,
minute.
man, I
Yeah.
gotta catch
Yeah.
up. I gotta catch up. I mean, even for myself, I see some stuff going on. I'm like, dude, they're further ahead. Why haven't I hit this point in my life yet? I'm this age. I should be doing this, and I immediately have to like reel myself back in and like, no, I'm on my own journey. This is
For sure.
This is this is my path.
And even with like all this stuff, I'm big on paper. Like
Yeah.
I see this productivity app, Medium sends me this, or Inc. 7 productivity apps you need for 2023 or 2024. And I'm just like, that's the problem. Like, I don't need another productivity app. I need nothing. And I need a piece of paper
Yeah.
and to just get clear and to write down my 7 priorities and then open up my calendar and be like, do they fit in or not?
Yeah.
And where do they fit in and which one should fit in first? Right now, it's like everyday leaders, my book, writing 500 words. So there's a sacrifice. There's maybe a little less time spent with my family during those moments.
Yeah.
But when I write in, I literally will print off a 30-day calendar, a 31-day calendar every single month, and I will write in the one thing that I need to get done that day. And I do that thing. And if I go to bed at that night, knowing I got that one thing done every single day,
You're good.
it's a success.
Yeah.
And it aligns with whatever it
Yeah.
was to move somebody from frustrated to fulfilled.
You do that every single day.
Every
Even
single
the weekends?
the 15th every single day. The 15th of the month,
Yeah.
I write in the calendar for the next month. So right now we're in roughly July, August. So I'm working on writing September handwritten calendar together.
Wow. That's discipline.
It's old school.
That's
I told you, man, I'm in my 40s. Old school works for me. But I can't, when I just open my Google Calendar and I look at everything on there, I'm like, how can I get clear? I can't get clear looking at that thing.
Yeah.
But when I write it and then pop it in there in these big time blocks, it's not so stressful anymore.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's a good takeaway. Everybody listening, watching, it's a good takeaway. And it's simple. It's very simple.
It is.
You're not asking them to download a productivity
Nothing.
app.
It's free.
Get everything. It's free.
Buy a
You can
pen or a
learn it.
pencil and you are golden.
You're good to go. So, just kind of wrapping up here, what for people to get this book, I know they're definitely gonna be anticipating the next one. What's the one takeaway that they're gonna get from getting this? And I know that might be a loaded question, especially with me also being an author. It's really different for every person. But what's the one takeaway they can get from?
It's going to be execution. I mean, we talked about so many other things, but you're going to walk away being able to execute. You're going to get stuff done. Chapter 7, I go through behaviors. Behavior number 1 is do it afraid. So it's about the middle, okay? So your core values, this is who I am. Your vision is where you're going. A lot of people say the start is the hardest part. The start's not the hardest part. Ask a surgeon if the incision was the hardest part.
Yeah.
You know, the middle's the hardest part. The grind, the getting up and saying, I'm gonna do it afraid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get up in the morning. I'm gonna write 500 words. So it's knowing it's a system on execution to get something done, to live your vision, really.
Yeah. And that's practical. People can put that into place like right away.
Exactly.
And I totally agree with that, with it being the middle, because even like with working out is my one thing that I am absolutely horrible with. It's not really starting. Like I can get in there for a few, it is that middle part. It's being like, I don't really feel like it.
Yeah, you can get in there and sit on a machine and then have your water bottle there.
Yeah.
And then sit on your phone and then,
Take your
Jamar
Instagram
comes and
pics.
talks to me. And then
I'm
you're
in
like,
the gym, baby.
yeah, I've been working out for 17 minutes.
Yeah.
No, you can't. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
You're annoying all the other members and they're talking about you.
Because you're
And you have a towel on, you're wasting the towel and all that. So
like, get out of here. Man.
exactly.
We're trying to use this machine.
Right. The middle is the hardest part. And for real, what is your middle celebration? Stop celebrating at the end.
Yeah.
So you finished half your book. Celebrate. Have a dinner with your family. Go somewhere.
This is
something.
This is another thing that I need to work on.
Yeah.
For myself.
Celebrate.
Middle
Every quarter of every single year, have a middle celebration. Whatever goal you're working on, middle celebration. Momentum, small wins, small actions, big results. That's everyday leadership.
Yeah. That's important. Yeah. And it's motivating. It's inspiring too, because you get to just realize what you're doing too.
Yeah.
A lot of people just they're just go, like myself, I just go, trying to get to the end.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy because we did the conference last year and I just, it's like I moved on to the next thing.
one.
I had a lot of people very close to me been like, you got to soak in what you just
For sure.
did. And I'm just like, no, next one. What's happening next? What's happening next? So yeah, it is something that I don't think a lot of people celebrate.
No, I agree.
Besides birthdays,
You're just, and then
anniversaries,
it's also
hopefully.
staff. Yeah. It's also not just yourself, but it's team.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times as leaders, as owners, as founders, we're so driven.
Yeah.
And your people are driven too, but they're waiting for that. Hey, when can we celebrate what we just accomplished as well? And I'm not really good at that. That's an area that I need to grow in.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So wake up call for me. Where can people find you at? How can they get connected with you?
Yeah. The best way is my website, DerekDeprey.com.
And if I'm somebody listening and I want to kind of move from this frustrated to fulfilled, what's the first step that I should take in kind of getting involved with you and your brand and what you have going on?
Yeah, I would say please connect with me on social media. I'm on every channel. I manage my own channels. Hit me up, message me, whatever you want to do. I'd love to start a conversation. But as far as the first step, I think really it's just getting clear and writing down what does your ideal day look like?
Yeah.
What's your ideal month? What's your ideal year? What's your ideal life look like?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I think everybody wants to live their best day ever, every single day. How can you live your ideal life right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I think to do that, it's not just writing down, I want to retire. I want to go sit on a beach in Hawaii right now. It's writing down what your ideal day looks like, hour by hour, minute by minute. And then by seeing that and visualizing and writing it down, I think you can get one step closer to that, to that journey. And I can help you get there, but you got to start with that process as well.
That's amazing, man. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Definitely like rocking with you. And if you're listening, if you're watching, definitely like, comment, subscribe to the show. Definitely share this with people that need to listen to this to get moved from frustrated to fulfilled, as we just dove into a lot of amazing conversation. Also, don't forget that reach out to Derek. Go hit him up on the website, hit him up on social, because you never know that if you change your circle, you could change your life. We're out. Peace.
Thank you.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell for more amazing content that we're going to be putting out. And don't forget, you can change your circle to change your life.